The lawyer's voice was calm when he said it, like he was reading the weather. You are now the sole owner of a 1,500-acre lake ranch. I laughed, because that kind of sentence doesn't belong to real life. It belongs to movies, to people with last names carved into buildings. Not to me, a guy who still smelled like city dust and coffee-stained shirts. But when I drove 6 hours out of town and the asphalt turned to gravel, and the gravel turned to dirt, and the dirt opened into water so wide it looked like the sky had fallen, I realized my grandfather hadn't been exaggerating in his will. He had just been quiet about it. The ranch had been in my family since before zoning laws were even a rumor. 1,500 acres of rolling land, thick pine stands, and a private lake that mirrored the clouds so perfectly it hurt to look at. My grandfather had been a stubborn man, the kind who believed land should be respected, not developed. He'd fought off buyers for decades. And now he was gone, and somehow, everything he protected had landed in my hands. That peace lasted exactly 3 days. On the 4th morning, I woke to the sound of heavy machinery. Not tractors. Not ranch equipment. This was the grinding growl of concrete trucks and the metallic slam of steel beams. I followed the noise down the shoreline, boots sinking into wet earth, until I saw it. A mansion. Or at least the skeleton of one. 3 stories tall. Marble deliveries stacked like tombstones. Floor-to-ceiling glass facing the lake as if it owned the view. Standing in the middle of it all was a woman in a white blazer and oversized sunglasses, pointing at a clipboard like a general directing troops. She didn't look surprised to see me. She looked annoyed. "Excuse me," she said, without asking who I was. "You're trespassing on a restricted HOA development site." I told her my name. I told her about the will. I told her this was my land. She smiled. That slow, thin smile people use when they think you're confused. "No," she said. "This property is part of the Silver Shore Estates expansion. I'm the HOA president. We purchased this section 2 years ago." I felt something cold settle in my chest. "From who?" She waved a hand. "Some old man." Didn't matter. Papers were signed. Survey approved. I didn't argue. Not yet. I'd learned something from my grandfather. When someone is that confident, let them talk. Let them build their fantasy tall enough that the fall hurts. Over the next week, I watched that mansion rise like an insult carved into the shoreline. Workers came and went. Trucks tore up paths my grandfather had kept untouched for decades. Every time I tried to step onto their site, I was blocked by security hired by the HOA. Karen, because of course her name was Karen, sent me letters. Official-looking envelopes full of threats, fines, and cease interference warnings. She held HOA meetings on my land without my permission. She told neighbors I was a squatter trying to scam rightful owners. She even called the sheriff once, claiming I was harassing her workers. The deputy recognized my last name, looked at the lake, and quietly told me, might want to get a survey. Karen heard that too. She laughed. "You're too late," she said one afternoon, standing on the half-finished balcony of her mansion, looking down at me like a queen addressing a peasant. "Construction is past the point of no return. Even if you had a claim, courts won't undo this. Progress always wins." She was wrong. But she didn't know it yet. The surveyor arrived 2 weeks later. Old school guy. Tripod. Stakes. Yellow tape fluttering in the wind. Karen tried to stop him. Claimed he didn't have permission. He calmly showed her the deed. My deed. 1,500 acres. Every inch. Measured and documented back to before the HOA even existed. For 3 days, he walked the land. Marked boundaries. Cross-checked maps older than Karen's mansion dreams. On the 4th day, he called us both to the shoreline. Karen showed up confident, heels sinking into mud she claimed to own. The surveyor didn't waste words. He handed us the map. The mansion, every inch of it, sat nearly 400 feet inside my property line. The silence that followed was thick. Karen's face went pale, then red, then something close to panic. "That's impossible," she snapped. "Our survey was wrong," the surveyor said flatly. "Or fraudulent." Karen laughed again, too loud this time. "So what? You expect us to tear it down? That's millions of dollars." I finally spoke. "I expect you to leave." She leaned in, voice low and venomous. "You don't have the power to do that." I didn't raise my voice. "I didn't need to. You built without my permission. On my land. Every day you stay is trespassing." The lawsuits came fast. The HOA tried to claim adverse possession. Tried to pressure me into selling. Tried to smear me online as a greedy heir trying to steal a community's future. Karen went on local news, tearfully talking about her dream home and heartless land barons. But facts don't cry on camera. They sit in court records. 3 months later, the judge ruled exactly as the law demanded. The land was mine. The construction was illegal. The wall was liable for damages. And the mansion had to be removed. Karen screamed in the courtroom. Actually screamed. Said the judge was ruining lives. Said I was destroying families. The judge didn't even flinch. I stood at the lake the day demolition began. Machines that once built her fantasy now tore it apart. Glass shattered. Marble cracked. Walls fell inward like the whole structure was ashamed of itself. Karen watched from a distance, arms crossed, sunglasses hiding whatever was left of her pride. She never spoke to me again. The WA dissolved within a year. Fines, legal fees, and the loss of their flagship luxury property bled them dry. The land healed slowly. Grass reclaimed the scars. The lake reflected clouds again, uninterrupted. Sometimes I sit on the dock my grandfather built, listening to water lap against old wood, and I think about how confident Karen was. How sure she sounded when she told me progress always wins. She was half right. But sometimes, progress looks like a survey stake quietly placed in the ground, waiting for the truth to catch up.